Excuse me, sir. This is Dr. Aparna Dixit here.
Yes, madam.
Can you see my screen? Is it visible?
Yes.
Yes, your screen is visible.
Okay, right. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Uh,
बोला ना मनोज काही.
sir, we are live on YouTube also, so we can start.
We will start at exactly 2 o'clock.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Anand More, exactly 2 o'clock we will start.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Speakers and talented chairman. सगळे chairman. हे वाला इथली chairman. आणि सगळ्यात शेवटी एस जे ढोबळे आणि विशाल पानसे हे वाला फॉलो. बस झालं. विशाल पानसे हे वाला झालं.
तुमचं नाव घेऊन काय करायचं?
Vote of thanks द्यायचं.
I would like to
thank the eminent speakers. यांचे नाव. I would like to thank the chairman.
Hello, Mahakode sir.
You can start now. It's 2 o'clock now.
So good afternoon, one and all, to this conference. नया दिन है, नई शुरुआत है, पुराने हम हैं तो क्या, नए जज्बात है. So with these words, as we are young institute in this region, with the same vitality and vigor, I, Dr. A.M. Murray, welcome you all to the second day of online conference, Challenges in Research Methodology. This conference is a joint venture of Research Advisory Committee, Internal Quality Assurance Cell IQAC, and Society of India Untitled Chapter. Today, we will meet new horizons of knowledge in the field of research with the expertise of eminent speakers. We are having with us Dr. Aparna Dikshit. She will be talking on research methodology. Second speaker is Dr. Michael Swajarvi. He will be dealing knowledge exchange from research findings. And Dr. P. Kaushik, she will be giving her demonstration on innovation in research methodology. These are the speakers for today. And we will enjoy this journey for the day 2. Once again, I welcome eminent speakers, delegates, research scholars, academicians, industry personnel, and higher learners on behalf of organizing committee of the conference. So once again, I welcome you all, and we will start the first session for today. The session will be conducted by Dr. Aparna Dikshit Madam. She is from Padvi Singh Institute of Technology. For this session, I would like to invite Dr. M.R. Patle sir, who is head in Department of Chemistry, DB Science College, Gondia, is having the vast experience of research and academic field. So I would like to request Dr. Manoj Patle sir for further proceeding. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Anand Mode sir. So in today's first session on this webinar, I feel elated to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Aparna Dixit, Assistant Professor, PSIT, that is Pranveer Singh Institute of Technology, Kanpur. Today's speaker, Dr. Aparna Dixit, is a multifaceted personality. Dr. Aparna Dixit is a well-known academician with excellence in ICT technology, a good communicator with interpersonal skills, excellent administrator. Dr. Aparna Dixit has endowed with strong research acumen and superior records of delivering large-scale missions, critical projects on time and within budget. Dr. Aparna Dixit have membership of different professional societies such as IEEE PSIT Student Branch Counselor, IEEE WIE PSIT Branch Advisor, IEEE IAS PSIT Robotic Society, Convener IEEE CIS UP Section, Convener IEEE WIE Affinity Group, Coordinator Regional Center Virtual Lab PSIT. Also, Dr. Aparna Dixit has different awards to her credits. Dr. Aparna Dixit awarded with Best Virtual Lab Nodal Center Coordinator, Silver Developer of Virtual Lab on Relativistic Mechanics course of Engineering Physics. She is also awarded for securing highest mark in all MSc exams in 1999. She is also awarded as a Best Student of the Year award in 1999 at Christ Church PG College, Kanpur. She is also awarded as the Best Coordinator, Regional Nodal Center Virtual Lab, PSIT. Dr. Aparna Dixit also received recently a grant of rupees 15 lakh for the project of Python programming in virtual labs from MHRD and IIT Delhi. Dr. Aparna Dixit served as a postdoctoral fellow in IIT Kanpur in 2008-2009 under mentorship of Professor Pankaj Jain. She also served as a SRF Extended Fellow in CSIR through IIT Kanpur under mentorship of Professor Sirup Raichaudhary in 2007-2008. Dr. Dixit received her PhD degree in 2006-2007 from Kanpur University, supervised by Professor Sutapa Sen. Dr. Aparna Dixit also convened a 7-day faculty development program recently on current trends in physical sciences from July 22 to 28, 2020. She also organized more than 15 international webinars under IEEE UP section in different fields. She has a nearly 19 years of experience in research work and academics. Dr. Aparna Dixit, appointed as SPOC 2 times in Smart India Hackathon, developed more than 40 virtual labs, and worked on development of same TAME lab. She is also a Best Virtual Lab Nodal Center Coordinator. Dr. Dixit has organized more than 20 international webinars and delivered international webinars delivered by eminent professors. She is working in collaboration at PSIT with Sweden and many more countries. She has signed MOU with IIT Kanpur for the development of virtual lab. About 10 to 11 students are receiving stipends in the development of virtual lab. So the students of Dr. Dixit also participated in different booths on virtual labs. So I welcome Dr. Aparna Dixit and I humbly request her to deliver her lecture. Please, madam.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sir, for such a nice intro. I think we do not need such kind of intro. We are accommodation, so we should be very calm and cool here. So our job is to deliver and give best knowledge, best information to our students, and we would like to share our experiences among our junior or senior faculty members. हमें लगता है आज मैं कुछ ऐसा हिंदी में कहना चाहूंगी, माफ करिएगा, कि हम सब शायद हर दिन कुछ ना कुछ सीखते हैं जब तक कि हमारी मृत्यु नहीं आती है ना। तो मुझे लगता है शायद आज इस कॉन्फ्रेंस से मैं भी कुछ सीख करके जाऊंगी। सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आई वुड लाइक टू शेयर माय स्क्रीन। कैन आई शेयर?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
You can share.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Can you see my screen?
Yes, madam.
Okay.
It is visible.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, actually today's topic is research methodology, and I have taught this subject when I was doing postdoc from IIT Kanpur in the year of 2008 and 9. So the experience was very nice, because after completing PhD, I was very upset, like how to start work in research, like in how to continue this kind of work. The problem was that I was having my family, so I was a little confused how to complete all these tasks. But fortunately, we have a good institute at our in our city, Kanpur and Uttar Pradesh. That is IIT Kanpur. So I have made a lot of collaborations there. So right now I have a good number of collaborators from IIT Kanpur. So when I was doing postdoc under Professor Pankaj Jain, he is astrophysicist, very brilliant, very bright astrophysicist. So I just worked on under supervision of Professor Pankaj Jain in the field of ultra high energy cosmic rays. Then I learned a lot of things, and I faced a lot of problems here. And the topic of agenda of this conference is challenges in research methodology. Yes, of course, step by step, if we go up from one step to another step, so lot of basically hurdles we are facing. So right now the student are facing, I don't know, but when I my students, so I was looking the same problem ki, they are also facing little problem. But in the previous days we were facing a lot of problems, because I was not in basically in I was not living in Kanpur city. So this was the basic problem. Okay, but right now actually the problem is get resolved. So I got this opportunity to teach this course of research methodology MPhil student who are basically who were in CSJM University Kanpur, that is Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj University. Okay, so I taught this subject as a guest lecturer, I think 2 times. Okay, so I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot, because what I faced the problem during the session, during this tenure, so I just delivered all the things. Today I am going to deliver the same thing. Okay, so let me come to next part of this. This is the outline of my topic. This is first of all, I will discuss meaning of research. What is research? Then learning objective. Of course, when we taught any subject, so we should have some learning objective. I have expertise in physics subject. So basically, in once you go for NAC program or a NBA program, you must have some learning objective, course outcomes, and all these things. So we must set some learning objective. Then characteristics of research, some scientific methods, criteria of good research, resistance in research, research problem. What should be the research problem? That is a problem statement. The problem nowadays problem statement, this word is very famous, because if you go in any, if you participate in any hackathon program, so you will get some problem statement. Now the government of India is releasing a lot of problems. So first of all, you just state the problem. So that is nothing but a problem statement, and that is the basic part of any innovative work or any research, how you are stating your problem. Okay, then there are a lot of groups of research. What type of research you are going to perform? Literature survey, sources of literature, and then hypothesis. Okay, now first of all, I must say, what is research according to these accommodations, Redman and Mori? This is the very famous basically statement that research is a systematized effort to gain new knowledge. Research is an original addition to the available knowledge which contributes to its further advancement. Yes, of course. What is the research? If we talk about this research word, actually it is made up of, it is composed of two words like re plus search. What is re? Re means again. You are going to do something new or over again. What is search? Search is nothing but a verb that meaning is to examine closely, carefully, to test, to try, or to probe. Okay, so research is nothing but an art of scientific investigation. You are going to investigate scientifically a new thing. Research is a search for knowledge using objective and systematic methods to find solution of a particular problem or problem set. It's nothing but a careful investigation, or you can say some inquiry, especially through search for new facts in any discipline of knowledge. Any discipline of knowledge, we basically belong to science. That means it may be for physics, chemistry, biology, Hindi, English, literature power, or you can basically see the part of like engineering discipline, like civil, computer science, and like MCA, and you can say electrical and electronics, and a lot of branch there. So you must collaborate you must collaborate interdisciplinary to all, then you can find the problem and then you can contribute there. So we can say research is the process of finding solution. We are in the stage of finding solution of a difficult or complex problem. We can say composite problem, because the problem cannot be, suppose I'm walking somewhere, but I'm not able to walk. This is the only problem. It's not a complex problem. But suppose I'm not my body is not able to walk, as well as cannot see, as well as cannot hear. So there are multiple problems. That means this is a complex problem, and we need to find out the solution of all the complex problem of our body. So this is a kind of research. Research means is a process of finding solution to a problem after a thorough study and analysis of the situational factor. Okay, so this was the overall meaning of research in my sense. Okay, now what should be the learning objective? What should be the objective? Objective means some purpose. What is purpose? Purpose of research is to what? Discover what questions? Not answered questions. We have already answers of that problems. Okay, like what are Newton's laws of motion? What are another problems? But there are still some problems in Newton's laws of motion, like third law. We can say in some applications it get violate. So still we can say unanswered questions. So we need to solve this problem. So what is the purpose of research? Is to discover unanswered questions through the application of scientific procedures. Okay, now if we talk about this learning objective, so learning objective क्या क्या और हो सकते हैं? What should be the some basic factors in their objective? To gain familiarity with a phenomena, or to achieve new insights into your particular problem, to portray accurately the characteristics of a particular individual, you can say, or some situation or some set of groups, or you can say to determine the frequency with which something occurs, or which it is associated with something else, to test a hypothesis of a causal relationship between variables, means like it is kind of hypothesis testing. Okay, now Next is characteristic of research. What is characteristic of research? Characteristic of research means research is we can say, we must say research is objective, logical. It is nothing but gathering of new data, not old data. Via old data, you can create something, you can formulate something, and in the parallel way, you can basically analyze something, and then you can give some result, you can give some prediction. But of course, you have to gather new data. That means ki new innovation will be coming out. So what is the characteristic of research? Characteristic of research means research is directed towards a solution of a problem, any complex or simple problem. Research must be based on observable experience or empirical evidence. Empirical evidence means it's a mixture of theory and experiment. It demands accurate observation. If we do not have accurate observation, we can not come up to some we cannot come up to conclusion, result. Okay, and research involves gathering new data from primary sources. Primary source means some known data. Okay, or using some existing, that means using some existing data for a new purpose. Then you will create a new thing, and on the basis of new thing, you can create the new situation. So research activities are characterized by carefully designed procedures. There are such kind of procedures, some sophisticated of procedures that should be designed for, and these are included under research activity. Research actually requires so much expertise in the particular discipline, that is a skill necessary to carry out overall investigation, such the related literature, and to understand and analyze the data gathered. Okay, so research is objective, logical, applying every possible test to validate the data collected and conclusion reached. Research involves a quest for answers to unsolved problem. It is characterized to be patient and unhurried activities, not a job of one-day program. Okay, because once you start, so you will basically find out some problem. Then first of all, you have to think about this problem can be solved or not. If it can be solved, so how the data can be basically find out via different sources, how to find out literature, and what tools must be chosen there, via online or via offline. Okay, so this is we need to keep our patient at utmost also, and it's not a one-day job, so we should not be very hurry about that. It's unhurried activity. Okay, now if we talk about scientific methods, what is, first of all, what is science? Science actually refers to the body of systematic organized knowledge, which makes use of scientific method to acquire knowledge in a particular field of inquiry. Okay, so scientific method is basically systematic collection of data. We can say some facts. We know that suppose we are getting some input values, we know some input values, and we can have some output values via using sophisticated formulas or self-constructed formulas. If we create some mathematical formula, then we plug in all the input values, then we can have output. So we can test all these datas. Okay, so these are the facts one, and their theoretical treatment through proper observation, experimentation should be done, and interpretation also should be done. Suppose we are getting some result, so we should basically keeping some interpret our result also. Like Michelson and Morley basically designed an experiment, and that experiment was famous as Michelson-Morley experiment. And what was the objective of that experiment? In physics, to basically check the relative motion between Earth and some rest medium. ITER. Okay, so this was the basic objective of that study. So that was learning objective of that experiment. And then basically they found some result in the form of theoretical result and in the form of some experimental results. So both were basically contradictory. Okay, so then they came to know actually this is not happening. The velocity of light does not depends on observer's motion. Okay, so then they found that actually we need to interpret our result are not coming positively. That means they are contradicting theoretical results. So we need to interpret it. What should be the meaning of this result? So we need to basically interpret our result so that the next researcher or next research scholars basically will get some help to find out new solution of that particular problem. Okay, so scientific method is the systematic collection of data and their theoretical treatment through proper observation, experimentation, interpretation. Or scientific method basically attempts to achieve a systematic interrelation of facts. We are getting some facts, we need to make some interrelation between them, and a logical arguments from accepted postulates, and a combination of these all three in varying proportions. Okay, so we basically follow some hypothesis, we make some imagination, then follow the same track and working on it, then we found some result, and then we do some arguments, and then we basically propose a theory in the form of postulates. Okay, now if we talk about criteria of good research, so what is the kind of good research? So criteria, it may be systematic, logical, empirical, replicable. Okay, so what should be the criteria of good research? Means systematic, logical, empirical, replicable. If we talk about all these four, so that means the purpose of good research is just pose clearly, it must be very clearly defined. Research process must be in very detailed. Research design should be thoroughly planned. Okay, high ethical standards must be applied. Limitations frankly revealed. Conclusions must be completely justified. Researchers' experience must be reflect in their research material. Okay, if we are not doing so, if that means we are creating some confusion, we are creating chaos, that means the people get confused. So it cannot be possible in the criteria of good research. That is the mixed research. We are not going to find the new things. What are the hurdles in research? What are the resistance in research? When we go, or we can say when we pass through a traffic, we get a lot of resistance there, a lot of hurdles there. Okay, then we just start to think, okay, आज हमारे पास गाड़ी होती तो आज मुझे ऐसा ना फेस करना पड़ता. तो गाड़ी मतलब पैसे होने चाहिए थे, दैट मीन्स हमारे पास फंड्स होते, है ना. बहुत सारी चीजें आती हैं. लाइक फिर हम एक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बोलने लगते हैं कि इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर इज वेरी पुअर. Then we just say that the people are not good, their tendency is something different, they are not doing well, that's why we're stuck in traffic jam. And then we just think about, okay, I do not have time proper and money, lack of, बहुत सारी चीजें हम सोचते हैं कि एक ही basic problem क्या है, traffic, we are facing traffic problem, and then we came to know all the resistance there. At the same moment, if we talk about research, of course there are the same kind of resistance in research also. Financial crunch in academia. What is say? Financial crunch in academia, poor study design in published papers, human tendencies, time and money, lack of computerization, lack of scientific training in the methodology of research. If we talk about early days, we do not have Nobel laureates in our country. Okay, so sometimes I have already heard about my senior scientists, my senior professors, that day before, like if we talk about 1960s or 1970s, 80s or 90s, so there were most pronounced scientists, J.C. Bose, S.N. Bose, Chandrasekhar. They have designed a lot of things in statistical mechanics, in classical mechanics, and in particle physics, in nuclear physics. They have done a lot of job there. Okay, but उनको जो मिलना चाहिए था वो इंडिया में नहीं मिला, because there was some financial crunch in academia. Even if we talk about जैसे हम बात करें ISRO की, so at that particular time we were not having proper funds, but the scientists have started there. वो खुद की कुछ की पॉकेट मनी से उन्होंने स्टार्ट किया. दैट वाज द बिगेस्ट फाइनेंशियल क्रंच एट दैट पर्टिकुलर टाइम. शायद आज हम आगे होते, बट we need to think about these resistance and we can remove this. Even suppose I'm working in a private institution, my institution is good, so they are funding a lot of money, lot of basically money in the field of research and development. Okay, but there are still lot of institutions, they are not getting proper funds. They have also good number of faculty members, good researchers, but they are unable to find financial support from their institute. Okay, so these are the biggest problem. Some poor study design in published paper. We are not basically studying a good research paper. And if we talk about these things, so we can improve ourselves. Researchers face a struggle to secure sustained funding. When the workforce is increasing, the funding in most of the countries has been on decline over the past decades. We can see poorly designed studies have become a major concern for academia. One of the primary reasons behind this problem is that statistical flaws in published paper often go undetected. Okay, so we need to filter out all these problems here. Insufficient interaction between university and research departments. We have a lot of research institutes and we have a lot of universities, lot of private institutions and private colleges, degree colleges, but they do not have good collaboration. They are not connecting themselves. That means we should have sufficient interaction among them. Okay, so we should have poor library management and functioning, difficulty of timely availability of publishing data. Okay, now the biggest problem in the field of research is that suppose I'm collaborating some US person. Okay, so our time zone is completely different. Once I wake up, they start to take sleep. Okay, so this is the biggest problem. When I want to discuss something, they are about to sleep. Okay, so we are not basically about to sharing our thoughts. So this is the main problem of research, so that we cannot have good kind of collaboration. Okay, now I would like to focus on research problem. What should be the research problem? Okay, research problem, to find out a research problem is a difficult task right now. Okay, suppose to find out any difficult problem in our society, it's very simple, very easy, because once we go outside from our home to institute or somewhere, we can see the real problems, and then we can basically share these problems among a student or among our community, and we can basically resolve it. Okay, but to find out a proper research problem, that's a difficult task. Okay, research problem is a question. It is nothing but an unanswered question that a researcher wants to answer, or a problem that a researcher wants to solve in a proper manner, in a proper way, in a sophisticated, we need to solve the problem, sophisticated problem in a proper manner. So research problem is an issue or a concern that an investigator or researcher presents and justifies in his or her research study. Identification and formulation of research problem is the first step. How to identify, how to formulate. Okay, it is the most challenging and difficult phase of our overall research process. Selection of a research problem depends on several factors, such as a researcher's knowledge. Sometimes what happens, suppose I'm studying the classical mechanics, I have a lot of problems here. I want to solve the question in a different way. Okay, now it is basically completely following all the condition, but sometimes it gets stuck. Okay, that suppose if I'm going the problem very deeply, then I came to know, okay, this is the basic problem, now we can resolve it. So this is a problem which can be solved in a different ways, okay, by following the primary conditions, some boundary conditions. But this is the difficult problem in any research, how to identify a problem. Okay, because who is about to do research? PG student. Okay, in new education policy, I think after passing graduation, you can basically participate in research program also. Okay, now then what will be the problem? The problem would be like how to identify, because they are not a specialized person. UG students are not a specialized person, but when we do PG program, so that means we are a specialized one. Then we just need to focus only in one subject and in detail. Then we find out some problems, basic problems, and then we can solve it. Okay, so research problem is basic. The selection of a research problem depends on several factors, such as researchers' knowledge, skills, their interest, expertise, motivation, creativity with respect to the subject chosen. Sometimes it happens, it has been seen that the research scholar already basically shows the interest in a particular area. When I start my research, so I talked to my basically mentor, Professor Sutapa Sen. She is no more. So when I talked to her, she said, "Okay, what do you want to do?" Then I just talked her like I am willing to work in particle physics. Okay, so she just asked me, "Why are you interested in working particle physics or something like high energy physics? Why it is so?" So I just suggested her, "Okay, this is the new field I should do. It's a challenging field, and I am interested in working this because I want to study quantum mechanics in detail, means quantum field theory, because there are a lot of things which are basically unanswered, and I just want to have solution all these problems." Then she said, "Okay, now you can go a step ahead. Now you can continue." Then I started my research. Okay, so a research problem is an area of concern where there is a gap in a knowledge base needed for professional practices. When we basically do postgraduate program, then we came to know, okay, this is the gap in this area, so we need to fulfill. That is the kind of research. Okay, so these are some basic these are the situations how to find out the particular problem in any research. Now I would like to discuss about types of research. What are basic types of research? So when we start working on any subject, so there are different kind of research. We need to choose this. If we talk about research methodology, these are the proper way to choose a research area. Okay, and type of research, what we want to do in the near future, what we come out. Okay, so the type of research must be basic research, evaluation research, action research, applied research. What is basic research? Basic research, the purpose of this research is to understand, explain. The research is interested in formulating, testing theoretical constructions and propositions that ideally generalized across time and space. This type of research basically explains the phenomena under a particular investigation. So if we talk about applied research, the purpose of this research is to help people understand the nature of human problems so that human beings can more effectively control their environment. What is evaluation research? Evaluation research is, it is here we study the process and outcomes being aimed at attempted solution. The purpose is to improve human intervention within a specific condition, such as some activities, time, and groups of people. What is action type of research? Action research aims at solving a specific problem within a program, any program, organization, or community. Suppose I'm working in PSIT, Pranveer Singh Institute of Technology. Then I found some basic problem here. I want to resolve it. This is the kind of action research, because we are implementing our solution in that particular problem. Suppose we are getting some attendance issues every day in the morning or evening when we go out, when we exit out from our institutes. So we are facing the same problem every day. Then we just, okay, we need to solve it. Okay, so then we what we do, we just resolve these problems and then take action. So this overall research is nothing but action research. Okay, now I would like to focus on literature survey. Literature survey is something difficult problem. In if we talk about rural India, so it is I mean to say it's very difficult in countryside, in European countries, or some in rural India, because they do not have a proper online facilities or some good kind of laboratories. Okay, some good kind of if we talk about libraries, we do not have such things. So what is literature survey? Literature review or survey, that is nothing but an organized write-up. Once you go to survey any literature, you just making up some write-up. Okay, day by day you are making some report, and that is the part of literature review. And write-up showing previous work done concerning a research topic or question in your field. Suppose we want to explore some new thing. So first of all, आज हमारे दिमाग में एक ख्याल आया, okay, we want to explore some new thing. Okay, so first of all, what we do? Okay, we find out the available literature. Okay, the people are aware about this. Some person have done resolve it already or not. If they have resolved it, so what is the proper way? What can we do in a new way, in a different way? What should be the innovation there? Okay, so these are basically we can say this literature survey is concerning a research topic or question in your particular field. Okay, so aim of this literature review is to show your supervisor that you have properly read out, and then you have a good grasp of main published work concerning a particular topic or question in your field. This work may be in any format, including online or online sources or offline sources. When I was doing postdoc under Professor Pankaj Jain, so what I just receive a lot of problems weekly from Professor Pankaj Jain. Okay, then what were our limits? Up to weekend, we need to solve that particular problem, and then we chalked down all the solution of the problem. Then he had discussed a lot of things with me and some collaborative with students also. Then we came to know we need to follow this path. So this is nothing but a kind of literature survey, because I'm surveying some literature and some other student also surveying some literature, and this chain is basically going on. Okay, so then we combine some study and we came to know, okay, this is the way we need to follow this pyramid, and then we can find out the solution. Okay, so literature survey is, we can say, the review will be guided by your research objective or by the issue or thesis you are arguing. We are going to argue your thesis and will provide the framework for your further work. The literature review should do the following. क्या करेंगे? We will compare, contrast different authors' views on that particular issue. When we write any paper, so first of all, we write some introduction. Okay, so if we are doing some new, completely new work, then the introduction is very small because no one has solved this problem. Okay, suppose that problem is already solved by some person, but in a sophisticated way, and we are going through some very simple, we are giving some simple solution. Then what we do, we are reviewing that particular paper, and what we are doing, we are basically publishing, we are writing all the issues of particular authors. They have done this, they have solved in this way this query, they have solved this question in this way, they have solved, and I am going to propose a solution that is very simple, not complex one, completely different, but the answer is coming same, so we can say the problem get resolved. Okay, so we can say compare, contrast different authors views on an issue, criticize aspects of methodology, and highlight exemplary studies, highlight gaps in research. So all these are needed to basically publish in your work, in your HY, and this journey starts very first in any research paper. Okay, now I would like to focus on sources of literature. What should be the sources of literature? Sources of literature can be books and journals. Generally, books and journals can be found out in some research institutes, IITs, NITs, and universities, and some private institutions, online and offline. We have electronic databases, bibliographic databases, abstract databases, full text databases, government and industry reports, internet, research, dissertations, and thesis. In my time, when I basically started my research in 1999, or you can say 2000, so I was basically facing a lot of problems there, because at that time we were not having, I think, age of CD. A compact disc was just started at that time, and floppies were famous at that time. Okay, so we were having a set of floppies, all the work which are basically available in internet. Then we basically stored in that, because after 2 days or 3 days, it will no more available in the internet. Okay, so I was basically usually using at that time archive.gov. Okay, so in that archive.gov, we were having a lot of disciplines: mathematical sciences, physical sciences, chemical sciences, biological sciences, even computer sciences, and some other fields also. So luckily we were having the platform because of kernel library. So we just used to study all the PDF files from there, but the paper were not published yet. Okay, so we should at that time we were very careful. Okay, this is not published, we should not completely trust on that particular work. We need to find out our result. Okay, nowadays governments and industry people are reporting everything in their websites, like Government of India in their I think energy department is publishing all the reports, like renewable energy system. They are reporting everything there, for wind energy and for lot of their solar energy. So they have lot of datas in state wise and region wise, state wise, or city wise. So they are publishing everything, all the reports on their websites. Okay, now we are having the facility of research dissertation and thesis also. We can find out lot of research dissertation online and thesis. Then we came, because once it get published in the form of thesis, now it says that now it is a stamp. Now we can trust on it, on this work also. Okay, now if we talk about hypothesis means imagination. Hypotheses are tentative, intelligent guesses as to the solution of the problem. As a physicist, if we talk about hypothesis, so a very first course of engineering physics is relativistic mechanics. Okay, so when we start this course, relativistic mechanics, we have a category of relativity theory. Number one is a special theory of relativity. Number two is general theory of relativity. A special theory of relativity has some special features, two inertial frames, but one is kept rest and second is in uniform motion. In general theory of relativity, the frames are speeding up or slowing down. So there are some major difference. Okay. So when we teach this course, so we start frames, inertial frame, non-inertial frames, frame of references, right? And then we start Galilean transformation equation. So there was a famous example, famous conclusion in Galilean transformation equation, that velocity of light depends on observer's motion. Okay, he found this equation basically, Galilean transformation equation basically can be found on the basis of what? Velocity component. If we choose any object as itself a photon, and photon can travel with velocity of light in free space. Okay, so basically they found some result like c prime, some velocity of the particular light but observed by any observer in another frame is something different, means some little less than velocity of light or little large than velocity of light, means velocity of light depends on observer's motion. Okay, then this was basically hypothesized when Michelson and Morley performed the experiment. Okay, this was only basis. Then they start working on it and find some negative result, and then they came to know this is something different. And then when they performed this experiment and found a negative result and interpret their own result, then they came to know and then they design basically postulate. Okay, so the thing is going from hypothesis to some result, some new theory. Okay, so hypothesis is much needed in while we are solving problem in physics. We are even Newton was looking continuously, ki apple is falling down, and then he basically hypothesized this happens daily, what is the reason behind it, then he guesses, but intelligently by using its own natural neurons. Okay, so hypothesis is a specific statement of prediction. It describes in concrete terms what you expect to happen in the study. Hypothesis is an assumption about the population of the study. It delimits the area of research and keeps the researcher on the right track. It always keeps the researcher mind in only right track. Okay, now I would like to focus on the functions of hypothesis. What are the functions of hypothesis? Actually, suppose if we do not have any hypothesis, how can we start our work? We do not have any infra of that particular problem. Okay, so what to be done? Some function of hypothesis is that it gives a definite point to the investigation and provides direction to the study. It determines the data needs, what we need there, so we will have the data. It specifies the sources of data. It suggested which type of research is likely to be more appropriate in particular domain. It determines the most appropriate technique of analysis. It contributes to the development of the theory. Once we have hypothesis, we can develop our own theory. Okay, now the time is over. Now it is 2:51, I think. So if you have any question, you can ask me. Thank you so much. If any question, you are most welcome.
The session is open for any queries.
Even in this platform, we should make some collaboration also from student side, from faculty side, from your university. If you are seeking some collaboration, we can do in the field of virtual labs. Even in this time, virtual lab is very much needed in this hard time in this pandemic. Okay.
Yeah, madam. So I have gone through your CV and. But there are few questions. So first, I will read those questions from participants. The first question is how to get rid of financial crunch particularly related to research.
How to find out financial, how to come out from
No,
this
financial crunch.
Okay, okay. So we can do one more thing. Actually, as an Indian, we are famous to develop low-cost gadgets, low-cost innovative ideas. Okay. So we need to think about the basic problem that can be solved in very innovative way. Okay. Suppose we are having something, suppose we are going somewhere, we need at the particular moment pen, and our mobile get basically discharged, and we need some eraser. Okay, and we need to have some ink. So what we will do, we need to innovate any pen in such a way we should have all the solutions in one pen. Okay, but in a low cost management. Okay, so what we should do, we should put request in a small fund. Okay, recently I just applied through IEEE SIGST as Society, Humanitarian Society. So basically, they approve in generally they do not approve any IEEE society if the branch is very active. So they approve the petition. Okay, so we propose a problem of sanitary napkin. Okay, so sanitary napkin incinerator. We are working on it, and fortunately, we are having our own incinerator and going to present in front of Government of India. Okay, but it is a low cost because we know that this is the mission of our government. Okay, so what should we do? We should do everything in a jugaad tantra. Okay, like from local vendors, we can buy some things, and we can write some small projects like in 1,000 rupees, like in 10,000 or 20,000. If you are private accommodation, you can basically put your request in a small fund. Okay, if you ask about like okay, I need 15 lakh. Okay, so then they will ask, okay, why are you requiring this 15 lakh budget? What is the need? What will you do? Okay, so once you are a researcher, you should start your work in a small fund. What you have, suppose you have only 10,000, you can start from 1,000 rupees or some 100 rupees. Of course we can do, because our government of India is also promoting the same thing. Okay, even
There's another
AICT,
question.
even AICT, some bodies like AICT, BARC, and ISRO, and they are proposing every month. Even Department of Science and Technology, they are proposing, they're putting proposals in front of us, like Indo-Sweden, Indo-Japan, Indo-Australian project. Okay, so there you can push your ideas. Okay, even if you want to do research, you can go to small factories also nearby your factories. Suppose you are working in chemistry, you are studying chemistry subject, and you want to do some research in this particular area. So what we will do, you can find out some factory in your nearby area, and then you can chalk down some problems and then find out, and then you can say the factory peoples, okay, we can solve your problem. Then you will get some infrastructure, and then you can basically put request to that particular factory members and factory officials, and then you will have some fund also. Okay.
Okay. There's another question, madam. What is the difference between innovation and research?
Innovation and research.
Research.
Innovation is something different. Research is completely different. Innovation is what? Innovation means something innovative that is being done with low cost budget also. Okay. But research is something different. Research means it may be some inductive or non-inductive type. Okay, so in means you are going from hypothesis to theory or from theory to hypothesis. Innovation, you are putting the solution in a very innovative way, in a very simple way. You are suppose I am proposing my sanitary napkin incinerator of just cost of 1,000, but the people have basically designed in lot of thousands, like 60 or 70 thousands. Still they are not working properly. But I am proposing, I am claiming that this incinerator may be of low cost, 1,000 or 2. So this would be innovative one.
How will you look creativity in research?
Okay, creativity in research. Okay, suppose there are a lot of kind of research. Suppose I get some research paper. Okay, so I get start basically reading that also. Okay, from introduction up to conclusion. Now, what is the conclusion? Conclusion basically full of some positive and negative facts. Okay, so what we will do, you will basically use your brain very smartly, intelligently, like this is the problem. Either you will start working on that positive solution, or you will start in which negative facts of that particular research. Okay, so better is to choose that negative facts of that particular research, because that will be completely new one. Okay.
Madam, we know that in this pandemic of COVID-19, how important our virtual labs are. So please share your experiences with the designing of virtual lab.
Sure, sir. Sir, actually, our center PSIT was declared a virtual lab nodal center in 2016, but we get active in the year of 2018. We start working on it. We developed a Python programming lab. Okay, when we were not having any infrastructure here. Okay, like infrastructure not means a brick or like classrooms or some computer system. No, we do not have any particular format of virtual lab, how to propose it, how to make a simulator. Okay, right now IIT Mumbai is basically has already proposed a particular format of pushing the labs or making simulator. Okay, we need to follow the cognitive level of that. Like once you enter into the classroom, what should be the primary work of primary job of a student? So what will he do? So we need to follow the particular all the steps in our virtual labs. So one day I was sitting and teaching my class, and I was teaching the course of relativity. Then I came to know we do not have any lab in course of theory of relativity, in a special theory of relativity. Then I was just start thinking like students are means they are little confused. Okay, so how can we imagine high speed object in front of us? They cannot make picture. Okay, they cannot make a real picture of electrons, protons, neutrons. So how to basically make them aware about proton, about neutron, about anything else? Okay, then I just thought about virtual labs. Okay, we have already proposed Python programming lab. We should start working on development of virtual labs in theory of relativity. Then we start working on time dilation lab. Okay, so when you say to any student, okay, time get dilate in a special theory of relativity, he never imagined. Okay, but once you show the lab, okay, in physical form, then what will he do, or she do? He will realize perfectly, okay, this is going on in this lab. Now I came to know time get dilate. So in virtual lab, what we are doing, we are developing simulators in the form of program, in the form of code. What we are performing in experiment in the form of observation. So like suppose if we have Newton's ring experiment, so what we will do, we'll switch on the supply. What kind of supply? AC, alternate current, and then needed to change in DC. Okay, and then what we will do, we should have a lamp, source of light, that is a sodium lamp, which is soothing to eye. And we need to follow the procedure of experiment in the form of simulator in our virtual lab. Once students are very good in JSS, JavaScript or HTML, they can start working on it. So this is basically development of virtual lab totally depends on mentors. You should be a good mentor. You should have a proper knowledge of that particular experiment. This is not a matter like you are just copying down. You can make virtual labs in any discipline. Suppose some experiment is quite you can say means we do not have proper fund. Okay, so what to be done? You can virtually design it because theory is available in that particular experiment. So what we will do, with the help of theory, we can develop simulator, and we are proposing some components, but these components are very costly. We cannot afford in our research. So what we can do, we can basically perform virtually that experiment, and then we can propose some result. Okay, and with the help of these results, we can have some graphical analysis. Then you can propose the same kind of virtual labs in front of, means prototype of that lab in front of your officials, academicians, industrialists, and then you can have some fund also. Okay, so if you want to do work in the field of virtual lab, so you should have a proper team of student and faculty members who are working in that particular domain. Okay, even we can help you if you are needed, we can help you.
Thank you, madam. So a great lecture by Dr. Aparna Dikshit. Dr. Dikshit explained the research methodology in a very systematic and quantitative manner. This lecture will be very helpful for any student who want to plunge into the field of research. So I am very thankful to Dr. Aparna Dikshit to take some time for us and giving a great lecture on research methodology. Thank you, madam.
Thank you so much, sir.
And in future, we will look forward to share your expertise in virtual lab. Sure, definitely, we come back to you, madam.
Yeah, sure, sir. Sure. I will be there always. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Manoj Patle, sir, and thank you very much, madam, for your session. The session was very informative, fluent, impressive, interacting, and impactful. And our participant must get benefited from this lecture. And this is the end of the first lecture, first session of today. The second session we are having today. Before going to that, I would like to make a small announcement. The announcement is regarding if Dr. P. Kaushik ma'am have joined this session, so she is kindly requested to chat if she has joined in the session, or say hi by turning his mic on, her mic on. So this is a little announcement. So here we are going for the next session, and that is session number 2, which will be conducted by our eminent personality, eminent speaker here, Dr. Michael Swajarvi. He is from Linköping University, Sweden, and he will just be joining with us. For this session, I would like to invite Dr. S.K. Paliwal sir for chairperson. So Dr. Paliwal sir will introduce our guest, and for this, I would like to hand over my charges to Dr. Paliwal sir.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Anand, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
I have opened my video.
Video is visible, and you are also say audible.
Thank you very much, Anand.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
First of all, on behalf of our principal and convener of this conference, Dr. P.S. Naidu sir, and Dr. J.G. Mahapade sir, program coordinator of this webinar conference, I welcome our eminent speaker of this session, Dr. Mikhail Sivajarvi. Welcome you, sir, and good afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'm very much delighted to introduce him in this session. I feel very happy and honored to introduce Swedish genius Honorable Dr. Mikhail Sivajarvi, who will be giving deliberations on knowledge exchange from research findings in this present session of the conference. Dr. Mikhail Sivajarvi has received higher education degree MSc in Applied Physics, Electrical Engineering in 1995 from Linköping University, Sweden. Doctoral degree PhD 1999, Linköping University in Material Science. He has been with postdoctoral positions at Politecnico of Turin, Italy. He is recipient of many Swedish and Bulgarian scholarships and research grants. Dr. Mikhail is eminent and distinguished researcher working on growth of energy and environmental material such as silicon carbide and graphene since 1995. He has more than 220 publications in crystal growth and semiconductor material with H index 28 and about 2,200 citations without self-citations in his credit. He is a successful international collaborative partner and is known for scientific exchange. He also authored books, arranged number of scientific events like seminar, conferences, etc. Bridging the gap, he has delivered number of talks and keynotes addressed in conferences, symposia in different countries. Since 2005, he is active in creating knowledge transfer to promote research and innovations to reach commercialization, to bring basic material research to market. He became founder of several startups, communities, and networks. That includes founder of company Alminica AB, Linkpopping, Sweden, initiator of Impiri, Impiri, Energy Material Platform for International Research and Innovations, initiator of company Materialize Sweden, Linkpopping, creator of company Clustering Dynamics, GIS model, co-initiator of company Sunmet Semiconductor Energy and Environmental Material Initiative, and many more. Dr. Mikhail has very long and high profile. It could take 2 or 3 hours to put before you. In nutshell, I should say Dr. Mikhail is eminent researcher, innovator, and entrepreneur too. It is great day for us that such a multi-talented, eminent, distinguished persona is with us. Sir, really we feel very inordinate privileged to see and hear you through this digital platform. With honor, I invite Dr. Mikhail to start the television. Please, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Paliwal.
Thank you.
So I'm very happy to be able to contribute to this exchange and discussion in the research methodology. And that is a very confusing activity because we try to be methodological and logic and intelligent, but then physics do not follow our brains. So then there are discoveries in different ways. And this is what we have to live with. And this is also the exciting things which we will enter and try to resolve. So I will share a little bit of my experiences in these confusing things in physics and how to try to make usefulness from any finding which we have had and why they became actually useful in another thing than we expected from the beginning. So I will start with sharing my screen. So now you should see my screen and also hear my voice.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yes, great.
Yes. Yeah.
And from my experience, if I should digest all these experiences since I started as a young researcher in 1995, previous millennium, then one of the most important things to actually do about these things is, of course, to work hard on all the advices and so on, which we have got. But the most important is to have exchange with other people, because that creates new type of thinkings and we can digest and iterate things with other ones. And then we find something unique, which comes from this combination with some people. So when you find this nice matching, that will create some fantastic opportunities in some unexpected way. And we don't know exactly how it will be. And at the same time, if you have a nice exchange with other people, it will also be a nice time. And when you have nice time, you are thinking more about all these things, and then you actually do more work without thinking more than you are already doing in a natural way. So this comes from the exchange between people, and then when you have exchange, then you should of course exchange knowledge and things you know, you discuss with people. So this openness is something which is very useful for this. And if I go back in time, my first conference, then online was not even existing at that time, and I have a bunch of floppy disks also, like Dr. Aparna was describing. So my results, master thesis, are saved on floppy disks, and my thesis I could save later on a CD. So I had one of the first computers when it arrived. I wrote my thesis, master thesis, on that, and it was very much hard work. And then when I started with the research and started to have some findings, then I went to conferences. So I persuaded my supervisors to pay for my trips. And here on this image, you see a young Michael, 1996, on my first conference together with my supervisor, Rositsa Yakumova, and some colleagues from Sweden. And there, of course, it was very nervous to present all the findings I had, which were not so much at that time. And it was difficult for me to discuss these things because I did not have so much knowledge. But you start with things at some point, and everyone is a beginner from the beginning. So that is quite natural. So we should not be afraid of having exchange and discussing things, because that is a way for learning. So Crete was a very nice place, especially if you compare Sweden in October at that time and comparing Greece, then it's much nicer in Greece, of course. So that was my very first conference. And let's see if this. Now, and my field of research is silicon carbide. So then at that time, we explored the bulk growth of silicon carbide. So this is the physical vapor transport. And in that one, we have a powder source of silicon carbide on the bottom here. And when we heat up that one, you have silicon and carbon bearing species, which are formed, and they are transported to the growing surface by a temperature gradient. So it's colder at the growing surface than at the source, and the vapor species are then transported there. So this is the physical vapor transport method. So this is now very established for silicon carbide, and there are even commercial companies doing this material. And the aim is to grow bulk material from which wafers are cut and polished, and those are used for making thin films and then device processing for further studies. But in the 90s, everything was very, very new in these things. So we also explored the PVT growth of silicon carbide, and all my papers from that time is of course on defects. So we had defects and tried to understand them. And then we wrote papers on those discussions and so on. So the defects is very good from publishing point of view. It's not good for the application point of view. And epitaxial people who grow the thin films and the device people, they were always complaining on the defects which were in the substrates of the material. But that was our time of research. And what we did at that time also was to take this method where we have a source and a growing seed, and then instead of having a long distance to grow bulk material to make wafers, we decreased this one. So we had a source of a solid ceramic silicon carbide instead of powder. And then we decreased the temperature and then we could have a similar type of PVT method, but for growing thick films. And at that time, the motivation was that you need thick films for the power devices, and the power devices was the main motivation for developing silicon carbide, and silicon carbide has the properties for that. So we developed this sublimation epitaxy method, and what we could achieve was thick films on the wafers. So here you see in the central area, you see thick film about 100 micrometer thick, grown with this method. And it was very nice achievement to be able to grow on some wafer size instead of very, very, very small samples. And we studied this material in photoluminescence. Then there are some characteristic peaks which appear in silicon carbide. And when they appear, this is a nice signature that you have a good quality material. And if the width of those peaks are very narrow, so they're sharp, then that is also very good indication that the quality is very high. And also when we have the XRD, X-rays studying the material, so when you have the reflection in the material, when you have a broadening of the curve, this is due to many, many defects which broaden the reflection. So if the reflection is very narrow, then we have a very good signature of the material quality also by the X-ray studies. So this we had in these layers. And we also looked into the TEM, so we could see the atomic positioning of silicon and carbon. And also on top of this image, you see some surface features. So when the layers are growing, they grow step by step. And then you have some irregularities of the steps on the surface. But they are very small. They are not huge and macroscopic. So that was also good signature that the layers are good. And when we look into those details, there are many fundamental features to explore in those things. And the most important one is that you have very many small steps. And when they accumulate, you have a step bunching. And this is not very good, because if it continues, there will be a lot of defects on the next layers. So we have studied that a lot to understand. And that was also a highlight of my PhD thesis, to explore these methods. I've also been exploring liquid phase epitaxy. So there we had the PVT for the bulk growth, and we had the sublimation epitaxy for these thick layers and so on. And the main motivation was that it was aimed at power devices, because if you want to transform 10,000 volt, you need a thick layer to handle that conversion. And the result was that it was not useful to have these layers in the power conversion, because you had nice quality of the material, nice smooth surfaces, but it was not pure enough. So we had a background doping. So the highlight of my PhD thesis was that it was not functional to use this method for its intended purpose. So that was some type of milestone. And then a few years later comes Satoshi Kamiyama, who is exploring silicon carbide as LED material. And then you have donors and acceptors, so you can have a recombination between them. And then lights come out from these things. And then he doesn't need pure layers. He wants to add dopants. So there's light coming out from this silicon carbide. So the material becomes fluorescent. And that is the basis for a new type of white LED based on silicon carbide as an active material. At Mayo University, they are very good in LEDs, but they don't have so much experience from silicon carbide growth of material. So Satoshi Kamiyama was visiting our university in 2000, 2006, I think, or later. And then he was studying the luminescence and the efficiency of the luminescence and could demonstrate that in a paper. And at that time, I was on parental leave, so I did not meet him in the lab. But then when I came back, I emailed him saying that, oh, I have this thick epitaxial method, and maybe we should start to collaborate. And he said, oh, yes, we should collaborate. And then that's how we started to collaborate with the Mayo University on silicon carbide for white LED. And there you have, the concept is that you have two layers with different dopants. And in this luminescence, it comes out as a broad spectra. And if you have two layers, you have two broad spectra. And if you do this in the 6-stage silicon carbide, it comes in the visible region. So the light is broad. There's no dominating peak like in the blue LED. And if you combine these ones, then you can combine it to a pure white light using silicon carbide. So that is the exceptional thing with this LED using this doped material. And in comparison to the LEDs of today, you can have very efficient LEDs. On the left side of this graph, you see the efficiency using the blue LED plus phosphor. But then the blue tone is penetrating. So if you want to have a better light quality, you need to do compromises, and then the efficiency goes down. So on this bottom, you see the CRI, which is basically how white is the light. Then if you start to make compromises, you lose efficiency. So in this blue box on the top right, you see where the silicon carbide based LED, it has a very high light quality and also fairly high efficiency. So that is it is the uniqueness of this method. So then we came into a new research avenue, and everything we did, we could publish and so on. And there are many things to study here. I will not go into the details because I want to give a message with this. But when we study the donors and acceptors, how much we put in there and how much is the balance between them, there is different efficiency of how much light comes out from this. So that was a very nice research topic. And here you see some images of some samples which are excited by near UV LED or two on the top here. And then we have the silicon carbide small square. And with different changing conditions, we actually have light coming out. So this is one of the layers, the warm white layer, where we could actually have luminescence coming out from the silicon carbide material we have been growing, and it comes out at room temperature. So it was not a theory. We could actually achieve luminescence. It was not so very efficient, but we had light. And there are many things to explore here about understanding what are the mechanisms for these ones and what is killing the effects. And you have similar problems still in the blue LED, where the physics is not completely understood. For example, in the droop, when you increase the electricity, the current for driving, then the efficiency goes down in the blue LED, and no one knows the exact mechanism. So whatever we do, there will be still fundamental issues to resolve. And this is a very nice collaboration which emerged due to this unexpected paths following. So Satoshi Kamiyama comes from Mayo University in Japan, and they are very prestigious in LED and nitride growth. And here you see on the top image, you see me on the right side, and then Satoshi Kamiyama, and then Isamu Akasaki, who is one of the Nobel Prize winners for the blue LED. And altogether, there is a network and collaboration which emerged from this nice research topic. So if I back a little bit, it was not the plan from the beginning. It was some interest which emerged, and then we joined paths, and then we had some projects. So my first own project was in this topic, and then I found partners in Denmark and in Germany and so on. And then we started to have exchange, and then we learned about these new things together. And then we had workshops, and then we had more people being involved. So this is one of the workshops which we had at that time at Major University when we were visiting there. And this is now further explored by Professor Kamiyama. So here you see some LEDs, and also in collaboration with Denmark Technical University, there are some demonstrators of the LEDs. So Hai and O at Denmark Technical University is demonstrating that in other collaborations. And this collaboration started 2010. And then we had the fluorescent silicon carbide, but then also some other avenues which emerged. And recently we actually got another project on silicon carbide for the frequency comb. And in that one, you have a laser, and then you have a material which splits the signal to many frequencies. And you can use this for communication. So Haiyan proposed that topic. And now we have another new exciting topic in silicon carbide. But this would have never been possible if we didn't start with something. And in this case, it was the fluorescent silicon carbide, which was our starting point. And about when we did all these studies, we tried to be as careful as possible to understand what is happening, not only having some findings to present papers and so on. We did systematic studies. So Dr. Aparna was describing a little bit of those things to make it careful and properly and understand what is happening. So we made, in our growth, we made such things. So we really understood the growth method. And then in the doping and control and so on. And when it was time to discuss how do we make usefulness from this LED activity and so on, which could potentially be a big technology, then we discussed together with Japan, and they have like patents on their things, and we had a patent on our epitaxial growth. And then we decided to merge these ones into a joint venture. So then we made a technology transfer agreement. And this would have never been possible if we did not explore this systematically, this method. And the more older I get, the more we actually repeat experiments. So we do it many times just to repeat, because there is then more data. And I know one colleague in Germany who studied at the same time as me in the 90s and got a PhD. He later went to industry to grow material, and then they have more reactors. And he said that he has got much more understanding of the fundamental physics by having many more experiments on the same thing. So this research methodology is difficult to understand how to do it in each own case, but do this systematically and so on, then you will have usefulness of these ones. And then later on, you can call this that this was a methodological way to do the things, even though the intended purpose will change later on, most probably. Then you started with some focus, and then you modify the focus towards the final usefulness. And hopefully it will be also technology transfer or startup company or some industry which acquires this. And if we come back to the blue LED, which was resulted in the Nobel Prize in Physics 2014, what they did was to achieve that you have luminescence from the material, and now it is a key enabling technology. You have the LEDs all over the society. It saves tremendous amounts of energy and so on. But from the beginning, they did not know that this interest in the nitride material on the 70s and 80s would develop into such type of revolutionary technology. And they started from the material point of view. So here is nitride material which has been grown by different layers. And what they did is that they needed to, their problem was that they could observe some light, but not repeatedly. So then the first problem formulation was how to get high quality material in a reproducible way. And then what at that time, there did not exist as many type of growth methods and reactors. You could not buy, for example, MOCVDs, you could not buy at that time. It did not exist. And it was not the main method for the nitrides at that time, and so on. So there were different methods which they tried, and then they explored them, and then came to that we want to use this due to these motivations. It has reasonable growth rate, and you can adjust the composition so you can get the right nitride composition to get the blue light from the nitrides. But at that time, it was not frequently used in the 70s. So what they did at Mayo University was to make a homemade system. So this is a picture of a homemade system. I think this is either the original or the replica of that system. I took this picture when I visited them for growing the high quality material, and then they made the buffer layer and so on to have quality. And then in the second machine, this is another picture which I took. Then they needed to have the PN doping, so you can have the light coming out from these PN junctions. And then they made many studies and so on. So at this time, it was very much fundamental physics to understand how to do this. And they had selected the growth reactor and so on. And then they had the blue light out. So Professor Amano was a PhD student at that time, and then they did findings. And then later on, you had Professor Nakamura, who did even more findings, but in a more industrial way. And then the efficiency went up, and then those three had the Nobel Prize for the blue LED. But it was still not realized that this could be a white LED, which saves so much tremendous energy. But it's an example that we start from somewhere with the research and our interest in the research. Dr. Aparna was also saying this about her interest in particle physics. That was the real motivation, and she could motivate why she wanted to do it. She cannot know what will happen, but that was good enough to start with. And then you're self-motivated, and then you do things in the future, which when you continue. So it was similar here with the blue LED and research areas, which later led to the technologies. And if we look into what we were doing, more or less a little bit unintentionally, is that we had the PVT growth method, but it's not useful for making thick films, and you have background doping and not good quality enough. And in the silicon carbide, there is the more popular CVD system where you have gases containing silicon and carbon, but it's very difficult to have high growth rates and control this and do the doping because it should be N-type and P-type doping. Nitrogen and aluminum are two, those are controlled, but boron is much more difficult, and boron is always persistent in the reactors and so on, so then it makes problems. So CVD was not the method which was most useful for the fluorescent silicon carbide. And then we had our fluorescent silicon carbide, which emerged due to a first motivation for the power devices. But then it was not possible for that. But then we found another application avenue. But we did not have this application avenue from the beginning. So we had to start with something, and then we translate to another domain. So this is also what will happen. So this is a research methodology to actually be open, that you develop some things and you don't know exactly what it will be used for. You have the intention, but then later on you can use these ones in the next steps. So this is also a way how to think about this research, because it's so much confusing how many advices you get on make the literature study, find the problem, and so on. But sometimes you don't know the problem because it's in the future. You solve something else in the future. And another thing which became important here is that in the beginning, when you grow the silicon carbide, you have a planar on-axis surface. But then when you have this planar, then you have different silicon carbide polytypes. So if we try to grow 6H or 4H, which are preferred for the power devices, then you also have other polytypes like the cubic silicon carbide. And they, when you grow on axis, for example, on silicon carbide, then you have inclusions of 3C in these layers. And that is, of course, not wanted. So then those create the disturbances in the growth, and then you cannot make devices on these ones. So what the community was doing was to change the off-axis to 3.5 degrees off-axis, and then there were no cubic silicon carbide inclusions. Very good. And then the community started to control the 4H silicon carbide, and this is a little more attractive than for power devices than the 6H silicon carbide. And by the off-axis, when you create that one, then you have these steps which are growing layer by layer and building up, and you replicate the substrate polytype. So that was achieved for 6H with 3.5 degrees off-axis, and you have 6H layers on the 6H wafer. And then later on, when the 4H came, they wanted to do the same trick with 3.5 degrees off-axis. But 4H is much more sensitive. So then you also had 3C inclusions in the 4H layers. So then it was changed that there will be 8 degrees off-axis of 4H, and then you did not have the 3C inclusions. Then it became homoepitaxial layers, 4H on 4H. But the problem is that when you increase off angle and when you have defects in plane, they will spread up to the surface and create problems. So there were other types of problems when you solved a first problem. So those emerge on the surface, and the device people will be unhappy again about these things. So they always complain on the material guys. So what was done then was to make a compromise that you have 4 degrees off-axis 4H, and then you could have homoepitaxial layers. And what would be preferable would be to have on-axis growth without any problems for the 4H. And this road from the beginning, when you had the 6H and 3C inclusions, and then you change things over time, it took 20 years. So whatever we are doing, and like Dr. Parna mentioned in the previous talk, is that it's not a one-day job. It's more like 10, 20, 30 years job. And if you look into the blue LED and so on, before it became the white LED, it's also like 30 years time path. So everything we do is a very slow process, and we cannot predict what we'll do. But one important learning here for us when we studied these different off-axis and so on is that we had to find the balance also in the off-axis for the silicon carbide fluorescent material, because that will be excited by near UV light from a nitride layer, which is grown on top of the silicon carbide. So silicon carbide is acting like a phosphor conversion. And then nitride material does not like large off-axis because then you have compositional effects and so on. So then we needed to go to even lower off-axis than the 4 degrees. And we are using 1.0, 1.2, 1.4 degrees off-axis material to grow our silicon carbide and try to control it. And that is a compromise which we're making for our growth, but it's a compromise because it fits the nitride growth on this one. So then our learnings from studying the different off-axis and surfaces and step bunching and so on became very useful for this low off-axis growth on which the nitride will be grown on our fluorescent silicon carbide. But of course, we did not understand that 20 years ago when I made my PhD and so on. So we could not anticipate that this will pop up as a very important topic for this LED technology. And everything we do is about collaboration. So this is in Japan, we have Fumiharu. So we had a lot of exchange, and when we discussed things, we understood much more about technology, but also about cultures and so on, because here was a nice matching of culture between Sweden and Japan. And now if we go back to the topic of this conference, yesterday we had an introduction by Dr. Haranath, and he pointed out some things in his talk. So what is research, and what is the purpose of doing research, and what is the process, and what is creativity, and methods, and so on, and what are the types of research. So we had an introduction to that, and then there was some advices, and then there was discussion of what is creativity and so on. But it's very difficult to be creative and intelligent and go to literature and find all these things to solve a problem which we don't know about. So this is very good to do, to use all this information and advices, online catalogs, websites, articles, read those things. But there you will not find the solution to the problem which you don't know is existing. Maybe you find some solution to something which you know about, but this means that it has been studied a lot also, which means that you will for certain never get the Nobel Prize if you study something which has been studied a lot. So then it's better to do new things and base your educated guesses how to solve these things from the experience you have learned. And also here about the research methodology, then we come back to this, how do we do these things? And we have advices, how we can think about this and where to position these things. But at the end, what is most useful and fun is that when we meet other people at conferences and so on, then we hear talks, but in between those talks, there are discussions about things, and we solve something, and we are sharing insights from our point of view. And sometimes it can be an insight because someone not from the field is asking a question, which is stupid, sort of, but then we need to answer in a simplified way. And when I had my course on semiconductor physics, trying to describe to those who have not read the courses, then I understood how little I can actually know about the semiconductor physics, because I could not explain it properly because I was using the terms and so on. So this exchange with other people is really important, because then you find out new things. And it can be when you have project meetings, you discuss things, you're curious about material, you go to labs and visit them, and so on. So this I do more and more to come out from the office and find out new opportunities. And also during the social events, when you, in the evening, when you have something to eat and a glass of wine, then you discuss things, and then you're sitting down at the table with strangers. But those strangers have previous learnings from other things, and sometimes this is very useful for you, for the things you're doing, and then you get a new idea, maybe a new collaboration, and so on. So all these exchanges is very important for the understandings. And if we look at the readiness level of a technology and how much it matures, there is always this long path. In the beginning, it's a lot of excitement because there are research findings, but those research findings should hopefully be applied in production. And when you're doing this systematic study, and when you're repeating the experiments, you're not publishing as much, and then it's not as much breakthrough results in the paper and so on. Sometimes you can read about this, that there was a breakthrough in this understanding of the material, but it's a scientific paper and a road to actually implement this to be really used in the society in a product which someone is buying. For example, the white LED, it's a long road, and then you repeat these things and it will not be as exciting. So no one will bother about asking you how things are going because you're repeating things to understand more in production. So this is the natural road for us who are in materials and using our methodologies in different ways. So we should always have the long term. And if we go back to Japan, what the funding agencies are asking for now is that when you have something new, the agencies, when they give money, they ask, okay, I would like to have a new technology which revolutionizes the society. And then they say, oh, but I don't want 30 years like the blue LED, which to the white LED. I want this in less than 10 years. Then researchers say, oh, no, this is not possible. So Professor Amano was describing this about their case in Japan. So then he said, oh, no, it's not possible with less than 10 years. But still, they wanted much faster. So what they are doing in a systematic and methodological way is that students who would like to become entrepreneurs, they are supported. So if you like that one, they can do that. And those who want to repeat the experiments and so on to develop production, those are also encouraged in these programs. And those who would like to make new discoveries from research, innovation to new technologies, so there's a maturity chain there, they're also encouraged in these programs. And to support these overall big things, there are mentors and internships and many different things. But this is now a thing which is happening in Japan. And if we go back to Europe, where I'm located, there are also regional programs which the European Commission says that here you should do these things for the regions to grow more. And the regions will grow more if you have technologies which make a value chain, so you collaborate on different aspects and make a full chain and mature that one to be actually used. So there are tools for the regional development, which we are very not familiar with, but our technologies must position in some context which is broader perspective. So in Europe, this is the smart specialization for the regional economic growth, which is now facilitated by the European Commission. And overall, you can use these ones. So now we are using these things and matchings, and these meetings at conferences, they can also be online. And actually, sometime earlier, it was an innovation webinar. And then Dr. Panna was attending, and then we got contact, and then we discussed some things. And the virtual lab activity is very useful when we have ideas and we cannot do all the experiments. So then there became a nice matching of competencies between Sweden and India. So in our case, we're also growing graphene on silicon carbide, and this is useful for sensors. So then we can have sensing applications or bio applications. So now we try to build up this platform from these first discussions. We don't have the full picture yet, but once we mature our things, this will be more set into place. But all these different things and activities, they always depend on people who are interested, engaged, and driving these things forward. So this we now try to establish. So sometimes when it's possible to travel again, I would like to come to India and visit, and I love Indian food, so that would be super exciting for me. And at the road, when we're doing things, we should have fun. We should have missions, but at the same time have exchange and fun. and do the things we would like to do as much as possible, and then interact with the people and students, because then we are more relaxed and we're actually sharing more information, and then we are thinking more about these things. So life is not only about the hardcore activities, it's also these other cultural and other exchanges which are important. And if I would go back to say some advices from my journey since 1995, some points. One is to believe in yourself. I'm not a super intelligent guy, but I have a very good intuition for the growth in the lab, the materials thing. So this is my strength. So I have some intuition. I'm not good in mathematics, but I studied the mathematics, and now I'm not afraid of the formulas which come when we have collaborations with theory and so on. But I'm confident in myself that I do what I would like to do, and I believe in myself. And like in the silicon carbide, people said that no, this is not possible to have light from the silicon carbide, because silicon carbide is an indirect band gap material. But we knew that there were other approaches, and then we did those things anyway, even though most people in the silicon carbide did not believe in it. So believe in yourself. And of course, it's very tiresome to try to do everything yourself. So create a team, work together, that helps super much. And network, because then you will find other opportunities, other people who can join your team, or maybe you join their team. But also at some point, you will meet someone who says that, oh, your thing here, I'm very much interested in that, because I can use it in my topic. And I'm not interested in the whole picture. I just want this small thing to be applied here. And that could be the new innovation. So if you develop your research methodology and so on, maybe something is useful for something else. And this, no one will come and knock on your door and tell this. So then networking is super important. And now we have the opportunity of networking and changing like this on the internet and via these meetings. And at the end, when you start to build some small things, you can build really high and more than you actually think you can achieve yourself. Usually we set limits. This is what I think I can achieve. But when we're actually doing it, we achieve much higher than that. And at the end, the new things and our interest and why you are participating in this presentation is that the science research is our genuine interest. And there we can have more exchanges, and we have had a lot of innovation webinars just to exchange with the Nanosmart Global. So there is a community having exchange and so on. So with this, I hope I have convinced you, or at least inspired you to follow your own paths about the research methodologies. And I did not think about these intention in the future, but just try to do things careful, repeat, and so on. And then it grew to opportunities. So with this, I would like to thank for the invitation to present on this topic and exchange. And if you have any questions now, you can have in chat box or ask. And also in the future, when you come up with questions, I'm happy to have exchange on these ones also. So thank you very much.
Is there any questions? Sir, one question is there. Hello, sir.
Sushil,
Yes,
go ahead.
There is one question. What is the significance of CRE in recognition of emitted wavelength?
Yeah, the CRE, that's
yeah.
yeah, I'm not super expert in those things, but this is a description of how white is the light, or what is the color of it in terms of luminescence. So this is very much used to describe what type of light you have. I'm in the materials growth for these things, but then everything is a combination of wavelengths from the light in different ways, how you modify these things. So like in our case, we have two broad spectra, but in the future, maybe you have individual frequencies which you can adjust by different conditions, and then you change the CRI and also the efficiency and so on.
Sir, have you prepared LED in your lab?
We have prepared this material in our lab, so we have been developing this since 10 years, more or less. We do it more when we have funding and less when we don't have funding.
Sir, what is the importance of white LED? This is another question, one question from one participant. What is the importance of white LED? White LED. What is the importance of white LED? He is asking like this.
What was the last word?
LED. Importance of white LED. LED.
Yeah. Importance of the LED. Yes, then it's more efficient. If you compare the light bulbs and fluorescent light tubes, the energy efficiency is much more in the LED. But also, and this is for having light in the offices and rooms and so on, but you can also use the LED to communicate, send signals, and so on. So you can use this technology, which was for lighting, but you can use it for other purposes. For example, when you can have light, but you can also send information from the changes of frequency using the LED. And also LED, it is used for putting light on paintings. And depending on frequency, you can experience paintings and design in different ways, just by changes in the LED. So the LED broadens up in its application avenues, the more we understand it. And then when other innovative people comes from other disciplines than the growth or LED, for example, design and so on, they asking, can I have this type of light? And then so it's very important because it drives so many things.
So there is another question. How does near UV LED? How does near UV LED help us to get white LED?
Yeah, this is similar. In the silicon carbide case, we have near UV LED, which excites the silicon carbide. So then these emissions are triggered in the silicon carbide. So this is similar like the blue LED plus phosphor. You have the blue light exciting the other colors. So that is the white LED. And when you combine all these colors, it becomes white. So in silicon carbide, we are using near UV instead of blue. And this is converted by the silicon carbide.
Good. Thank you, sir. Any other questions from participants? Thank you very much, sir. Really, I am very much excited with this lecture. At last, I can only say in order to sum up this lecture. First of all, I am it is very nice to see your pic, young Michael. You shown your pic, young Michael. It is very nice. So, and secondly, sir, you accepted and put before us your weaknesses and your struggle before us in a way that the way in which you you show all these things, and so therefore we very much inspired with you, sir. How you develop yourself and reach at the top. So, and very nicely you highlighted and your journey of your research and all exchange processes and phenomena in research work. So at last, I am very much thankful to you for delivering this information. Definitely our participants and research scholars would be benefited with this information and your deliberations. Very big thank to you, sir. Very big.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm glad to have this exchange, and It will be useful for the future also.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So thank you, Michael sir, and it's a very big thank to you. Actually, it was a very nice, motivational, magnificent, demonstrative session, which will definitely benefit our listeners in this conference. I'm very much thankful to you, sir, and I'm thankful to Dr. Paliwal sir also for chairing this session. So था इसका मैं एक वर्ड में एक सेंटेंस में बोलना चाहूंगा कि रिसर्च में सक्सेस एकला चलो रे से नहीं बल्कि हम साथ साथ है से मिलेगी। तो ये कहना है कि वी हैव टू collaborate with one another and so that the research will be very successful along with us also. So that is the end of this session number 2. We are now moving towards session number 3, which will be conducted by Dr. P. Kaushik ma'am. She is from Linköping University, Sweden again, and her topic of presentation will be innovation in research methodology. For this session, I would like to invite Dr. K.P. Ghoshal madam from the Department of Botany. She is Assistant Professor in Department of Botany, Degree Science College, Gondia. She is having the vast experience of research, and I would like to invite her.
Hello. Hello.
You are audible.
Am I audible, sir? Am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, you are audible.
Hello. Okay, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Dr. Kalpana P. Ghoshal, Department of Botany, Dhotebandhu Science College. Welcome you all in today's third and the last session. I feel privileged and honored to introduce today's eminent, young, dynamic, and energetic personality, Dr. Priyadarshini Kaushik ma'am, a research engineer and scholar, expertise in material processing, material characterization, sensor fabrication, and testing nanocomposites from Linköping University, Linköping, Sweden. Madam obtained her master's degree in physics and computers from Delhi University and GGSIT, India. She has been awarded doctorate degree in material sciences from Jamia Millia Islamia Institute, Delhi. Regarding her achievements, she is an recipient of Afrosec Independent Research Grant, Sweden. She is co-project in charge in research project from Inter University and Accelerator Center, India. She is technically skilled in data analysis, strong interpersonal skills, project management, leadership, and teamwork, problem solving, scientific writing, and English proficiency. She has many national and international publications to her credit. She was a visiting researcher in Linköping University, Sweden from 2015 to 2018. Presently, she is working as an application-oriented material science researcher with more than 9 years of laboratory experience in material processing and characterization, research and result oriented with excellent analytical skills and safety standards. With this brief introduction, I would like to request Dr. Priyadarshini Kaushik ma'am to please enlighten today's gathering with her influential deliberations. Dr. Priyadarshini Kaushik, over to you, ma'am.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay. Hello, myself.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible. Yes.
Yeah. I worked in Linköping University as a research engineer. Today I'm going to discuss some of my results on surface functionalization of epitaxial graphene on silicon carbide for sensing application. This is the brief outline of my talk. Firstly, from introduction, then the synthesis, then the problem definition, results, significance, publication, and my future work. Since I'm going to talk about graphene, it's good to start with the thing that initially, before the existence of graphene, it was thought that 2D crystals are not possible. They are thermodynamically unstable. But in 2004, by Gain and Konstantin, they discovered graphene, and then at that point of time, it was found that 2D materials are thermodynamically possible. And for that, they got Nobel Prize in 2010. Graphene is a wonder material having unique properties. It is a two-dimensional material with sp2 bonded carbon atoms. Each atom is connected to 3 other carbon atoms, leaving 1 electron available. And if 1 electron which is available is responsible for having high conductivity of graphene, which is also called the pi electron. Graphene is mother of all graphitic form. When it is in 2-dimensional, then it is fullerene. When it is in 1-dimensional, it is nanotube. When it is 2-dimensional, then it is graphene. And when it is 3D, then we have graphite, graphitic planes. Graphene is why it is so unique, why it is called wonder element, because it is the thinnest material, 1 atomic thick layer, lightest, flexible, it has highest electrical conductivity, it has perfect thermal electrical conductivity, superior optical transparency, it has no band gap that is responsible for its high electrical conductivity, and thermal conductivity. It is highly stable material and it has large surface to volume ratio. It has many applications as it is 70% lighter than the aircraft, 10 times battery power and high charging speed, 25% cooler electronic devices, 100 times faster internet. It is one of the strongest and lightest material, because of which we can make bulletproof jackets, and it can be used for automation applications. It is thinnest, flexible, and transparent, and therefore can be used for mobile, wristwatches, transparent display. It is used as a very good sensor because it is 1 atomic thin layer, so it has wide applications in biosensing and gas sensing. Up till now, there are many methods for fabrication of graphene, like mechanical exfoliation, chemical vapor deposition, graphite oxide reduction. It can be also obtained from nanotubes, graphene oxide reduction, and epitaxial growing. It can be grown by sublimation epitaxy, which is called epitaxial grown graphene on silicon carbide. In our lab, we used to grow graphene on silicon carbide by sublimation epitaxy, and Mikhail has already introduced and gave a glimpse of it, how we grow graphene on it. I just want to cover up a brief of it. This is like we have silicon carbide as a substrate, and substrate contain both silicon and carbon atom. And when we heat it around 2000 degrees Celsius, then the silicon atom sublimes and the remaining carbon atoms form the graphene on silicon carbide. And now moving on to applications. The thing is that graphene is really a wonder element, but because of lack of band gap, it has high conductivity. It cannot act like a switch. For example, it is on, we cannot off it because it has very high conductivity. So we need to do some surface engineering in its property to make it more advanced for different applications. So we have done some structural modification in graphene to enhance its commercial applicability, like optical application, electronic application, sensing applications. There are different methods of modifying structure of graphene, like doping with different molecules, material deposition, depositing different type of material like tin or lead or different or metal, atomic metal and polymers and alloys on graphene. That also do some surface engineering on its surface. And then graphene is heterostructure. Graphene can be formed as heterostructure. Then there is polymerization of graphene, oxidation, hydrogenation, and fluorination of graphene, attachment of graphene quantum dot, and then the topic which I am going to discuss today is ion beam technology. In ion beam technology, we are going to use ion beam technology to introduce structural modification in graphene. It can be done by two methods: swift heavy ion irradiation, low energy ion implantation. Swift heavy ion irradiation is a process in which high energy radiation is used between the energy mega electron volt to few hundred MeV, and in low energy electron energy implantation, very few energy is used from keV to MeV. This is just a glimpse what we have done until now. We have used silicon 100 MeV, silicon 30 keV, and chlorine 10 keV ions. And then with these particular ions, the projected range which we have used is 15,000 with 100 MeV. With 30 keV, we have used 20 nanometer. With 10 keV, we have used 13 nanometers. Now, I am going to discuss today just the swift heavy ion irradiation. Although we have done low energy ion implantation, but just to give a glimpse how ion energy ion implantation results in surface modification and in application. So we have used epitaxial grown graphene, and we have used 100 MeV silver ion irradiation. And when we have done 100 ion irradiation on it, we have observed that 90% monolayer graphene is reduced to 25% monolayer graphene. And this occurs because of foldings in graphene. There are multiple foldings in graphene. A and B shows the reflectance mapping. C and D are the AFM image at 10. And E and F are at high resolution AFM image. F clearly shows formation of wrinkles, hillocks, and folded graphene in AFM images. This figure clearly shows the foldings. So what we have done because of ion irradiation, due to ion irradiation, the graphene got folded multiple times, which results in changing its property, which is also depicted in the Raman in B and also in the HCM images. Then this is the Raman, which shows that following ion irradiation, the D peak, which represents the defect peak of graphene, increases, and the G peak also decreases, and 2D peak also decreases. So following ion irradiation, D peak increases, G peak and 2D peak decreases. Then we have fluence dependent, we have done FTIR and XPS on them, and we have observed that fluence dependent change in silicon carbide and presence of point defects like CO, CH, SOI, F, and SI in highest irradiated samples. The similar observations we have observed in our XPS result as well. And then this is my publication. This whole work is published in Applied Surface Science. Then we have worked on ion implantation. That work we have published in Carbon. And then we have worked. I have worked on another materials like indium oxide, tin oxide, that we have published in FFF and INTERFIF, and there are many more. The fifth just a small publication. So my future plans is to do more on ion irradiation. Till now, I have worked with ion irradiation and ion implantation. Now I want to work with low energy, that is in electron volt. And the problem with that, it's very difficult to find very low energy. So I'm trying to do it in our lab or some like homemade ion implanter in which I can introduce change with the in the range of electron volt. And I want to do investigation on the band gap using arcs. And then I want, recently we are working on developing urea biosensor using these bulbs. I have a short because I just want to give an idea what we are doing. And yeah, any questions?
Audience are requested to put their questions in the chat box. If they have any query, they may put their
you can put them on
questions in the chat box.
Yes. I haven't received anything, so I think there is no question. If there is anything, you can mail me.
Yeah.
If there is anything,
yeah, ma'am. We don't have any
question.
Yeah, your voice is.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, we don't have any questions in the chat box now.
Yes, but Michael here.
Hello.
Maybe one thing which is very interesting with this, which we are now going to the next level, is that we are using the ion irradiation as a methodology to modify the surfaces. And then this is the, so it's a moving activity which is now shifting. So this is the basic concept, which is for how to use these things for its intended purpose. So from methodology point of view, this is the tool we are using to modify the surfaces. And now we are in the middle of the understanding of all these things. So like in my case, when I was in the beginning of the fluorescent silicon carbide, we did not understand exactly what we had, and we had many problems. And like Dr. Aparna was describing, there were many problems in the beginning, and over time, we understood them. So this is another example of how we can take something which is unique, basically graphene, and use some tools to create things ahead and try to do this systematically. And maybe at the end, everyone doesn't have an ion irradiation tool at home or available to it. So then maybe we need to develop such instruments for these things. So here there are many possible collaborations, like with virtual lab or development of instruments for these new avenues. So if anyone has ideas on such things, please contact Priya, and then maybe we can have other collaborations here also, and then we can create our own methodological way of how to move ahead. A comment.
Thank you. Hello. Hello.
May I have one question, madam?
Hello.
Priya, madam.
Hello.
May I ask you one question?
Yeah.
You define graphene, you define graphites 1D and 2D as well.
Yeah.
Have you applied this material anywhere in your lab?
Sorry.
You also speak about the various applications of the graphene, graphites, etc. Have you applied it anywhere in your lab?
Yeah, we use graphene for gas sensor in our lab.
Gas sensor. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. For what purpose it is? Gas sensor. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Hello. Hello. audible? Am I audible?
Yes, madam. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am, for your such a nice and beautiful presentation. And I'm thankful to the organizing committee for giving me an opportunity to chair this session. Thank you, sir. And over to you, Anand, sir. I now hand over my mic to Anand, sir.
Thank you very much, madam. I'm very much thankful to Darshini ma'am for such nice material.
Thanks.
Thankful, and I'm also thankful to Dr. Kalpana Ghoshal madam for chairing this session. So this is towards the end of the sessions today. Am I correct, Dr. Mahapade sir?
Yes.
Any deliberation?
Yes, this is the end of session. You can proceed for. Yeah.
So
you can proceed for the vote of thanks.
The session today, there are many take away home things from today's lecture. We have a bunch of many, and there were various that were covered during this. So we can by foreign and on this also your graphic materials. So this is all about today's session. I hope today's sessions are very much beneficial for budding researchers, and I hope that we all have get benefited from these all lectures. So for the formal vote of thanks for today's sessions, I'd like to invite Dr. Dilip Jaina. So I'm handing over to Dilip Jaina, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you, Anand, sir.
Yes.
Sir, am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Sir, first of all, I tender my apology to all the speakers and participants. You know, in some point of time, we might have faced some technical problems, and we are getting acquainted with this online or that ICT or ICT based that virtual classrooms and virtual programs. So that's why the problems are very obvious. So we might have faced some problems, so we sorry for that. Coming to the point, not taking much time. So the two-day conference on challenges in research methodology is concluded now. So first of all, I extend my hearty thanks to our principal, Dr. Anjan Naidu, for extending his continuous support to make this program possible and a success also. Then I come to the Vice Principal, Dr. Timande sir, the Program Coordinator, Dr. Mahakode sir, who has taken all pain and strain to organize this program, to manage everything. Sir, very much, thank you very much. And also the IQAC, who has also a large share in this conduction of the program. Then I must pay my gratitude to all the eminent speakers who have made this program a fruitful one. And really, with all your informative and knowledgeable talks, that you satisfied the participant in a very convincing manner. So I pay my deep sense of gratitude to all the speakers, like Dr. Deepak Dhote, Dr. Vaibhav Thackeray, Dr. D. Harnath, Dr. Aparna Dixit, then that Michael Sajarvi, and then Dr. Priyadarshini Kaushik. And really, the speakers made this program a very enlightening one, and the participants, they made spellbound. So I thank you again. And last but not the least, all our anchors and the technical team consisting of Dr. Anand More, Dr. M.B. Gowde, Dr. K.M. Hadjade, Dr. M.R. Patle, Dr. D.S. Chaudhary, Dr. K.P. Ghosal, Dr. Sheetal Banerjee, and all the teaching and non-teaching staff who also directly or indirectly extended their wholehearted support to make the program accomplished one. Again, I thank you all from the very core of my heart, and I declare the program is over. Thank you. Thank you. Mahakode sir. Hello.
Dilip.
Are you getting me?
Yeah, Dilip. One thing you've forgotten.
Your voice is not clear, sir.
You propose your vote of thanks to Luminescence Society of India, Vidarbha chapter.
Yeah. Okay.
And
I'm sorry to say that also in association with, we organize the program that is Luminous Society of India, Vidarbha chapter, and particularly Dr. Bisal R. Panse sir and Dr. S.J. Dhoble sir, who extended their all wholehearted support to organize and to make the program a great success. Thank you, Luminous Society of India, Vidarbha chapter.
And
okay,
thanks,
I'm sorry.
Thanks must be goes to Dr. Sushil Paliwal sir as well.
Okay.
Paliwal.
Okay.
And a great thanks to Michael. He had joined us from Sweden. Most eminent